Welcome to the boardroom. I'll be your managing director for today's explainer, and we are about to conduct a rigorous, zero-excuses corporate audit on the Cambridge AS and A-Level Arabic Language 8680 examination. Specifically, we are targeting the high-stakes 5-mark Passage 1 vocabulary recognition tests. Look, we're treating this exactly like a high-level C-suite grade proposal audit. My job right now is to train you how to pitch your arguments to the absolute toughest Cambridge examiners out there. We're going to do that by utilizing bulletproof structural frameworks, precise data analytics, and corporate-level evaluative reasoning. There's no room for weak data structures here. If you bring a poorly framed proposal to this table, it gets rejected instantly. Okay, so grab your notes, get focused, and let's dive right into this.
Here is our agenda for today's audit. First, we'll establish the core assessment principles. Second, we'll map out the procedural framework. Third, we're going to dive deep into mastering critical analysis. And finally, we'll review examiner warnings and pitfalls to ensure your assets are protected.
Let's open the briefing with Section 1, Core Assessment Principles.
We must first address an absolutely critical question, one that destroys candidate evaluations every single year. Why do candidates fail to secure method marks in multi-stage analysis? I see this all the time. Imagine a junior consultant. Let's call him Alex. Alex works incredibly hard, gathers a massive volume of raw, factual data, and just drops this giant descriptive text block onto my desk, expecting a massive payout. And I have to reject it. Why? Because Alex, like so many candidates, fails to understand that Cambridge awards points for the exact process of analysis, not just the final vocabulary definition. You can't just give the answer. You have to prove the math. You have to build an executive analytical pitch. Missing a single command keyword in the prompt triggers an immediate valuation drop on the marking grid. It's a total liability.
To understand how to win, you have to master the cognitive domain matrix. To secure a top band valuation, what we call the $1 million A-star mark, your response must satisfy 3 distinct cognitive domains simultaneously. First up is knowledge and understanding. This is your base capital. You absolutely must define terms precisely and make clear cross-topic connections. But that's just the baseline. Remember our junior consultant Alex? He's great at this part, but he stops there. He gives me dictionary definitions, but no market risks. Then we have the second domain, analysis. You must deconstruct the texts and explicitly interpret causal relationships. You have to show the examiner exactly how the gears turn. And finally, the third domain, evaluation. Think of another consultant. Let's call her Sam. Sam is a fast speaker, pitches brilliant, creative concepts, but she lacks hard asset backing. To succeed in evaluation, you must assess limitations, highlight assumptions the author is making, and propose alternative interpretations based on textual proof. If you want the maximum payout from Cambridge, you have to merge Alex's hard data with Sam's creative evaluation, hitting all 3 of these targets in a single, unified response.
Now, you might be looking at this and thinking, well, it's just 5 marks. It seems like a minor blip on your overall asset sheet, right? Do not be deceived. Principal examiner reports explicitly confirm that candidates who effectively reference cross-topic connections within these specific parameters achieve significantly higher overall marks across the entire paper. These 5 marks, they are your ultimate leverage. They prove to the examiner right out of the gate that your theoretical architecture is completely sound. When you secure these marks early on, you establish an aura of absolute competence that carries through your entire exam portfolio. It sets the tone for the whole deal.
Moving on to Section 2, the procedural framework.
When tackling these vocabulary recognition questions, you cannot just wing it. You must deploy this exact 6-step procedural framework to maintain strict regulatory compliance. Step 1, deconstruct the question. Ask yourself, what is the Cambridge command word actually demanding of me? Step 2, extract relevant data from the stimulus materials. Step 3, select your analytical framework. Step 4, execute your analysis with crystal clear notation. Step 5, verify your results against the initial parameters of the question. Have you actually answered what was asked? And Step 6, present everything using the correct terminology. This step-by-step methodology is literally the only way to ensure your evidence doesn't lose market compliance halfway through your paragraph. It's your safety net.
So a crucial point to understand is that your data interpretation skills are your primary asset here. Think of yourself as a senior data analyst. You must be able to seamlessly extract information from the texts, interpret the underlying relationships, and draw strictly evidence-based conclusions. Let's say you're analyzing Passage 1 and you claim that a specific Arabic word like sadi, meaning fast, implies a deeper sense of urgency or panic in the context of the story. You can't just make that claim and walk away. You must quote the exact surrounding Arabic phrase that proves your point. Never ever speculate without a concrete data source to back it up. If you don't have the data, the pitch falls apart.
Furthermore, presenting this extracted information requires strict adherence to corporate-level conventions. Think of this as your exam hall dress code. You wouldn't walk into a major investor pitch wearing sweatpants, right? In the same way, your exam paper needs to look professional. This means you must utilize proper headings where applicable, employ the precise terminology required by the 80/60 syllabus, use appropriate formats, and provide exceptionally clear annotation to protect your marks. If you walk into a boardroom pitch looking disorganized, the investors immediately stop listening. If your exam paper is chaotic and hard to read, the examiner will penalize your valuation. It's that simple.
Let's transition into Section 3, Mastering Critical Analysis. This is where we elevate your response from a low-value block of text into a high-value evaluative pitch.
Let's run a quick co-op debate scenario here. Say our junior consultants, Alex and Sam, are trying to write a joint venture paragraph. Alex starts off with a weak, descriptive approach, merely listing basic vocabulary similarities. That is a massive liability. It's not going to cut it. Sam steps in and pivots them to an elite, higher-order response by executing a true comparative analysis. This evaluative approach identifies similarities and differences. It leverages sophisticated comparative connectives, supports every single claim with explicit textual evidence, and draws definitive conclusions. To pull this off, I always have my teams use the PEEL framework. Point, evidence, explanation, link. You state your point about the vocabulary. You back it up with textual evidence. You provide a deep explanation of its impact, and finally, you link it back to the overarching theme of the text. This is the exact structural architecture that transforms a basic, low-level paragraph into a top-tier asset.
Now, to hit the absolute highest analytical level on the Cambridge rubric, your evaluation of evidence quality needs to go even deeper. You must explicitly identify limitations in the text's argument. You need to pinpoint assumptions made by the author, offer alternative interpretations of the vocabulary in question, and articulate exactly how these factors affect the final conclusions. When you demonstrate to the examiner that you can weigh multiple, complex angles of a single Arabic phrase, you are no longer just a student translating a document. You are a high-level consultant providing a comprehensive risk assessment. That is what secures the top band.
All right, moving into our final phase, Section 4, Examiner Warnings and Pitfalls. This is our final compliance audit where we review the ultimate liabilities that will crash your valuations.
Let's do a live spot the liability exercise. I'm going to issue a direct examiner alert, straight from the principal examiner report itself. Quote, candidates consistently confuse key terminology. Always define terms before using them in extended responses. This is your immediate safeguard. Imagine reading a candidate's proposal that says, the author uses a strong metaphor here which makes the text better. Okay, stop the clock. Where is the compliance breach in that sentence? First, they didn't actually define or name the specific metaphor. Second, saying it makes the text better is a shockingly generic, low-value claim. To fix this exploit, you must isolate the issue, define the specific linguistic term, and explain precisely how it alters the reader's perception. Do not leave money on the table with vague phrasing.
Okay, let's pause our audit for a quick mid-pitch valuation reboot. Securing these top-tier marks requires continuous vigilance of your own internal academic assets. Before we see if you can secure a top band valuation and reveal the final list of fatal errors, ensure your personal academic assets are properly managed. Subscribe to @AceTheExams right now and turn on all notifications. No matter if your focus is Cambridge IGCSE, O-levels, AS, or A-levels, this channel is your weekly board seat to secure elite grades. Don't leave your educational portfolio to chance. Make sure your feed is calibrated for success.
All right, let's get back to the final audit. The principal examiner reports reveal the top 3 compliance breaches that will tank your score. Number 1, forgetting to include the proper format entirely, which just bleeds away incredibly easy method marks. Number 2, failing to check your presentation conventions before the exam clock runs out. And number 3, which is absolutely the most fatal liability of all, providing generic, memorized answers that are not specific to the given context of passage 1. If you just regurgitate a textbook definition of an Arabic word and it doesn't fit the specific nuance of how the author used it in that exact text, your proposal is rejected. The examiner will not give you the marks. Context is your currency. Always remember that.
So let's close this out and secure the final deal. I want to distill this entire session into 3 core corporate pillars for you. 1, the due diligence scan. Always decode the question perfectly. 2, the resource allocation matrix.
Manage your time and extract the highest value data points. And 3, the final compliance audit. Use your review checklist to ensure perfect formatting and context. Remember to rely on rigorous structural frameworks like Peel over simple memorization. Practice these specific past paper methodology steps we've mapped out today. If you implement these frameworks, your executive value meter will hit that maximum A-star mark. Before we adjourn, drop a comment below stating your target grade, your qualification tier, and your subject. And of course, make sure you're subscribed to @AceTheExams with the notification bell on for our next weekly board session. The next time you encounter a complex Arabic text, are you going to merely translate it, or are you going to truly evaluate it? Class dismissed.